I'm Debbie Hunker. Welcome back. I've been kind of going through some different phases, I guess, with my business, and I finally have decided on Doodabug Dreamer is my business name. So Haven Creations is still kind of in the works there too. It's more of the quilting stuff. But my Doodabug Dreamer Facebook and all of that will be my custom handbags and more the handbag thing and the wallets. So anyway, in wondering about what kind of videos people were wanting, one of them that was mentioned was kind of favorite things, something that all the tools and things like that I use on a regular basis. Recently I did some private lessons, and it became very clear to me that not everybody has everything that I have, and just how much I missed it when it wasn't just readily at my hands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off really basic, and I'm going to talk about rulers. This one is a large one. This one is 12.5 by 12.5 inches square. It is really great for when you have larger rectangular pieces or square pieces that you need to cut. Very quick and easy to be able to lay it on the proper lines and just give it a cut with your rotary cutter. This one could not do without. This one is 8.5 by 24. So this again, these ones are available at your local quilt store or your fabric stores. These ones happen to be OmniGrid. I really like the fact that these ones are a little bit grippier on the back and they don't move quite as easily. So they're the lime green ones. And one that I use a tremendous amount of the time is just this little narrow one. It's just a short one. It's 18 inches by 2.5 inches. Great for a lot of my straps and things like that, just for cutting straight lines, trimming edges off, that kind of thing. This is really great. Of course, it doesn't do any good to have rulers if you don't have a good rotary cutter. So this is the one that I like. I've got them in different sizes. Pretty basic. If you do any quilting, then you definitely know about these as well. On the cutting thing, these are a little pair. I'll see if I can just get out of the way here a little bit so you can kind of see them better. These are my Kai scissors. These ones are just quite small. They, there we go. And they work really great for clipping, for notching. I use them a lot. Even for cutting things when I don't need the long cut, I just need to be able to get the precision in there. These ones are really great. I love my Kai scissors. These ones are the Kai, these are the dressmaker size. They also do come in tailor ones as well. So I decided, well, I may as well just go get them. So these are the dressmaker shears. That is, I think, refers more to the blade length. And these ones are the tailor shears. So they have a little bit longer cutting blade on them. So, but these are just beautiful. There's just, there's nothing like the feel of these. I have, even my husband, I handed them to him when I first got them. And I said, just feel this. And he shuts them and he's like, ooh. So that was exactly my reaction to the whole thing too. I just love these scissors and they are sharp. They're wonderful. Precision screwdrivers. If you don't have a set of these in your sewing room, oh boy, get one. Get some. They make all the difference. Most of the time, a lot of the hardware has the Phillips head, the star, or the little flat head. I have this one. I don't use this one quite as much. And I'll tell you a little story about these suckers. They cut so fast through your finger that it can go in one side and out the other, and you don't even actually realize it until you're trying to find where the blood's coming from, and it's coming from two spots. So ask me how I know that one. My mother was horrified when I told her, oh, you better go get a tetanus shot. I was okay. These are just kind of, they might look more like craft pliers, but these I actually got at a tool store, KMS Tools in Edmonton. That's where I got this little set. But they are a little heavier duty than just your regular, like maybe Michaels or something like that, little craft ones. They're very nice. So these ones have kind of a duck bill on them. They're a little bit wider, if you can see that. Great for grabbing things and stuff too. These ones are more of a craft, and these are, well, we who know tools call them side cutters. It'd be like for cutting wire, and the blade cuts flush on this one side. So, and these, ask me how I know this, work quite well for getting rivets off when you do them wrong. So you can kind of get gently in there and use the side cutters, and then you can actually, once you get everything loosened off enough, you can just cut the post on them. So those work very well. Here I have thread lock. Now for any of your the screws, things like that with your hardware, if you just put just a tiny little bit of this on the screw before you put it in, it will keep it from being able to turn out. If you need to, this stuff is the medium strength. It's the blue. So really what it does is it dries and it's kind of rubbery. So it's not hard, it's not like glue, but it will keep threads from being able to loosen off. So this is a must. Comes in handy a lot. Another thing I use when it comes to glue and things like that, I use this is a tape, a glue tape. So like for when you're doing scrapbooking, that's it. I forget my crafts already. So when you're doing scrapbooking, this is the kind of stuff that you would use a lot. And I had some left over, and so I found it, dug it up, and it works. It doesn't work for everything all the time, but when it does work, it's great. I love it. What else? Oh yes, okay, glue. Double-sided tape. I have it in various lengths or widths. So this one is actually it's a double-sided tape. Yes, it does probably gum up your machine a little bit, your needle. Again, I don't feel like I have a significant problem with it, so I use it. If I have to pick the little glue ball off the top of my needle, it gathers at the top, I do it. It doesn't seem to be causing me any problems. So maybe when I get my machine serviced, they'll tell me otherwise, but until then. And then this one is probably about 3/8 of an inch, and this one is just a little bit less, I think, than 1/4 of an inch. So just various sizes of double-sided tape. That I could not live without, for sure. Marking pencils and stuff like that. You've seen this one before. This one is a little chalk pencil, and you can just extend it out. I take out the chalk and sharpen it if I need a finer point. Those ones come, there we go. So they come with a little box like this. You don't want to drop these because then there's nothing left of them. But there's colored ones and there's white ones. Now, I bought these to use when I'm quilting. I did some testing to make sure, and this is so important on anything that will be seen. In our bag making, not so much of this stuff gets seen. It's usually on the inside of the bags and stuff. It's more like garment sewing. So if there's marks and stuff that are left on that you can't get out, sometimes it's not that big of a deal. But what I have found is with the white ones, get them off before you iron. Or before there's water added and stuff, and that usually you can just kind of give it a little fluff kind of thing, and it comes out just like chalk from a chalkboard. The colored one they're a little bit harder, and If you press them, they will very often stay permanent. So be careful with that. But otherwise, I use mostly the white, but they are very handy. So, and of course, my purple pens, my air erase ones. Right now, it's very humid, and these use humidity in the air actually to disappear. So if you are in a really humid climate, they will not stay on for very long. If you're in a really dry climate, then you may even have to spritz it with water to get rid of it, but eventually they will disappear. But water instantly takes them off, or makes this disappear. So again, yeah, there's a difference in climate, because you ladies are all over the world, so I forget that we're not all in the same area. The other one that I just found, and I didn't even know this existed, it works really great, especially for vinyl. It is a leather marking pen, and this is actually like a little silver one. It stays on very nicely, but just a little bit of water, and shows up beautifully because it's really bright and really bold. It's a little ballpoint pen. If I had a piece, and I do, because I always have scraps laying around. So it really leaves a nice bold, there we go, mark. You can really see that very well when you're working with your vinyl, but just a little bit of water, like now my finger, it won't come off. And I have a little bit of water here, but I'll do this. So it just comes off very easily. So a little bit of moisture and it comes off. So that's very handy too. That was a new one for me. Now, seam rippers. I cannot say enough about seam rippers. If you have an old one and it is not really sharp, I suggest getting a new one. There's nothing that is worse, that is more dangerous in my mind, in my experience, than a seam ripper that is not sharp. Because if you have to push more than just a very slight amount to get something to cut, it's dangerous, because things tend to slip, and when you have to use a lot of pressure, they go far and they do damage. So, and plus, when we're doing our hardware, when we want to do slots, things like that, we want to be able to just plunge in, and with just a really gentle push, we want to be able to cut that. We don't want to have to put a lot of pressure on there, because that's when we slip and we end up with an inch when we needed a very tiny amount. So seam rippers, they're not just for ripping seams anymore, they're for attaching hardware. So get yourself a good one. This one is a Clover, and very impressed. I like it because there's a nice handle to hang on to. So, and it's sharp. An awl. Great for poking, marking, going through a bunch of fabric if you need to just do a small hole. I use it also when I'm sewing. If I need to get into a spot or need to move my fabric, I just kind of get in there with my awl and move it over as it's going through. I can't get my fingers in there, but my awl works and it's safe. This is just a little piece of an old cutting mat. Don't throw your old cutting mats away, ever. Cut them into smaller pieces. If you have to use your hammer, if you're cutting a hole, if you're using your punch, and you need to punch through, don't do it on your good cutting mat, because you can go right through it, and this is ideal. Lots of you have the fancy little clips. These are from Staples, the little ones. I actually find I like the hold of these better so far than, I think they're Wonder Clips. I like these ones. I'm not gonna, there's nothing really more that I can say about that. So, some little miscellaneous things. these are, I think they're surgical clamps or something like that. They're great. They have a more rounded edge or end on them. So sometimes when I'm trying to get my corners poked out, if I need to be really, really careful, then this rounded edge is a little bit nicer. Also, if you're turning something or if you need to grab onto something, you can clamp it on there, pull it through, and it holds a lot better without you having to keep the pressure onto it. Really good quality tweezers. These ones are, you'll probably see them most often with your serger because they help a lot in threading your serger. These ones are quite strong, and I've used them in my videos as well, explained how going around a curve if I need to pull the fabric. These have some significant strength to them and some weight to them, so they're easy to use. They grip really well. Very handy, as well as my old eyes. When I'm having to thread my machine, it's easier just to get in there with them. So, and of course, pins, fray check. Always need to have that. I use a lot of that these days, just for various things. Ends of straps, all kinds of stuff like that. I'm not sure if I showed you this or not, but this little set was suggested to me when I was complaining about having to cut the holes for the little turn locks from Emmeline. It's not that not the ones that Emmeline are bad. It's any of the turn locks, but I use the ones from Emmeline, and I was complaining about trying to get that hole cut properly and how long it takes to go through all of those layers of fabric interfacing Peltex, vinyl sometimes, and to still get that nice hole. So this was suggested to me. This is a very inexpensive, especially in the grand scheme of things, little set. And it has all of these little cutters, and there's a bunch nested in here. And there they go. But if you can see, there we go. That's one shape, but there's a bunch of different sizes to that shape. And then there's square ones. And sorry, just trying to get it so you can see it here. There's square ones, there's rectangular ones, there's oval ones. This is the happy little one that I use for cutting the holes for the turn locks. So I use this one a lot. Now, these ones are not the best quality. They're about, I think I paid about $30. And there's a huge set of them. They were on AliExpress. Yeah, I think it was AliExpress that I found them, or Amazon. Oh, I'm not sure. Anyway, so that's where I found all of this. About 30 bucks this. If I have to get another set, they're not going to last forever. If I have to get another set, I will. If I could source them out in really good quality, I absolutely would, because they'd be worth it. Just this one hole, as far as I'm concerned. If I had to pay $100 for this one to get a really, really good quality one, I absolutely would. But that's me. We've gone through this before as well. Punches for rivets. This little set, now I got this at Tandy. It has a bunch of the little nibs on it, the little holes. They're all different sizes, and they just screw into the little holder. Boy. So they just screw into this little holder. So whatever it is you need, and then you hammer on the end of it. Well, you don't hammer. I don't use hammers. I use a mallet. Now this is what they call a dead blow hammer, and it has, you can hear that, it actually has lead beads in there, and it takes up the shock, and it's the shock when you're hammering on your metal parts. It's that vibration that ends up making your metal brittle. So what this does is it actually absorbs that. These are great. You don't need much force with it either. They're very good. If you don't have a press, then this is what you need for setting rivets. This is what they call the anvil, and this is the part that sits on the bottom. And this is concave, and the one end of this is also concave. So when you're setting your rivets, when you do them manually with your mallet, you have the two set together and you hammer on this to get the whole thing set. Now I'm going to switch a little bit here, and I'm going to talk to you about my rivet press. I'll get it. Now, I'll get a bit better angle here, but this little thing, this is just some foam. Mine does not have a fancy little foam cover for it, so, and my hand gets sore when I'm pressing on here, so I'll get a better angle and show you some stuff with this. So this is my rivet press. Now this is quite a significant machine. It's quite large. It has quite a big throat depth here. So, well, I guess the throat depth would be this, but the distance here is quite significant. So what this allows me to do is I have a lot of options. Now, my husband does my machining for me. He's not a machinist, but he had to justify purchasing his really expensive machine somehow. So in that, he promised his wife that if he got this machine, he would make me things. So now he has to. So this machine, as you can see, is the Cam Snaps DK98. This one is discontinued. Otherwise, this is one that I would highly recommend. So this one has a little set screw at the top. I'm just taking out my rivet dies. I'm just going to show you why I love this machine so much. Now, again, my husband made the parts, machined these parts for me so that I could adapt it to whatever I need. And I'm sorry, but no, you ladies can't have my husband. He's too handy to me. Now, this is something that I came up with, that I told him what I needed, and so he built it for me. What I wanted was a flat bed metal piece for the bottom, and I needed a top piece that was basically the same thing that would fit into here. So this is what I have. I use this when I'm putting on, you might have seen the little the video that I did on my Doodabug badges, my new ones. And I'll just quickly show you one of those. So I got these little badges to put on my bags, sorry, and they have rivets on the back, or the rivet posts, so that's how they're attached. So it was like, well, now how do I do this? I put a piece of vinyl down on the top so that I don't scratch this. Put this here, and I use my rivet setter for the top part, and then I can just press it down and it sets it. So that's what I use that for. It just ended up that this worked perfectly for doing that. But this is what I do with it. Now, going back to these fancy little cutters. Now, I need, again, this is why I have some of this stuff around as well. I need a piece of cutting mat, because I don't want to end up dulling this when I press. So I take my cutting mat, put that down. Now, I just have some of this around. This is like a tarp fabric, not the papery, cheap kind that you get. This is actually a very, very strong, kind of a rubber one with nylon through it. So I'm just simulating what I would do. Now, if this was my fabric, I would lay this down. Then I take my cutter and I set that on there. Of course, I would position it for my wallet flap or whatever I was going to do. Then I just take this and I'm going to put some pressure on it, and you can hear it. It cuts through. It actually cut right down into my mat, which is all right too, because that's what it's there for. So it cut absolutely through everything, and it gives me a perfect hole. So I can do any shape that's there. That's just how easy it is to make such a beautiful, perfect hole. These ones are also, I guess, probably what you would do is if you don't have the system, then you put your fabric, you put this on over top. You would take a piece of wood or something like that, and then you would hammer through. My method will keep these lasting me a lot longer, because instead of banging on them, then all I have to do is just a really gentle straight down forward press, and it's done. Yeah, I have several little different adapters and stuff like that for mine. The reason why I don't or haven't ever showed you anything with grommets is kind of along the same idea, is that I don't know, again, my Lonnie this is the adapter that fits into here, and this is for grommets. And I will tell you, this grommet die set, it is not inexpensive. It cost Canadian, I think it was somewhere around $75. It's only good for one size and one manufacturer specifically. So it only works with specific grommets. So these grommets are from a specific manufacturer, and I don't know it offhand. So again, I get these ones from my local upholstery wholesaler. So these ones are self-piercing grommets, and this just snaps up into there. So the self-piercing means that it's going to cut its own hole as it's setting the grommet. This takes a bit of pressure. But this is what we end up with for a grommet. So it cuts the hole, and the back of it is just beautiful. I don't have that on there quite enough, so I'm going to give it another press. This takes, there we go. This takes quite a bit of pressure again. So everything gets rounded over really nicely, and it looks almost as good from the back as it does the front. So, but again, this is something that you have to source out in your area if you want something like that. When I was in Pecana in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, I did see that they have really nice grommets, very, very similar idea to this. And you have to have a die for each different grommet size that you have. But and I think their dies were about $45 Canadian. But they have them in nickel, in gold, in black, and in, I think, an antique bronze or something like that. So they do have. I'm going to be looking into that next time I go to Pecana, because again, for me, I can, with the dies, I can just get my husband to make me the adapters so that they will fit into here. But I think that's about it for my favorite things. I have had a ton of questions about this is for punching holes in my fabrics and stuff like that for placing rivets. This is a really, really great tool. I'm sure there's other ones out there as well. This one happens to be from Tandy Leather. It is not an inexpensive one, but it is very, very good. And I'm a firm believer that if you have the right tools, the job is so much easier and it gets done so much better. So it's quite heavy. It's fully metal. On this one, these turn and really snap. They're hard to turn, which is good because then when you're actually punching, they don't move. These ones specifically, all the different sizes are on here. These ones can be removed, and you can replace only the ones that get dull. So instead of having to replace your whole tool, you just buy whichever ones. I mean, typically for a lot of us bag makers, it's going to be the smallest one that we use all the time because we're using it a lot for setting rivet holes. So yeah, this one is the Craft Tool Pro from Tandy Leather. So if you're looking for one, this is it. I don't know. It's not that money is no object to me. It's just I really truly believe in having the best quality tools that I can possibly afford, and this one is a very, very good one. So take it from there. So next, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour. That was the other thing that has been asked is want to see my studio. I've done a little one before, but either people haven't seen it or they still want to look at what I've got here. So I'll give you a little tour of that. And yeah, I guess there's a couple of other things that I get asked about. One thing, I have a bunch of these. Now this one specifically has all of my different sizes and colors of my rivets. That's the word I'm looking for. Oh, rivets. So I have all my rivets in here. I have a couple more. I have one that has one size of my zipper pulls for my zipper tape, and I have another one that has a larger size. So I keep those ones straightened out. Behind me here, these little bins. I have pegboard. Mine specifically is plastic pegboard that I got from a friend who had a scrapbooking store that she closed down. So I've just painted them the same color as my walls. So that's what that's hanging on there. But these little cups, these ones are from Uline, and they're by far the least expensive. Great quality. They hold. They don't seem like they really should be when I look at how little tiny the hooks and stuff are on them, but they are really nice. As well as all of my other hooks fit into there as well. I have plastic hooks, so they really snap in very well. So, it helps keep all my zippers, my thread, keeps everything all nice and organized for me. Everything is right there at my hands, and I can just grab and audition on fabrics, see what I like the best and that kind of thing. So I hope you've enjoyed this segment. I hope it's been informative, and I'll keep you posted. I am going to be doing a couple more little hacks, I hope, very shortly. I have a couple of straps that I need to do, so nothing huge, major, but some might find it interesting, if not helpful. So look forward to that. Thank you again so much. The support that I have received has just been absolutely amazing. I keep telling you that, but you keep being amazing and supportive. So just know that I appreciate you. So thanks a lot for watching me. So here we are entering into my studio. My studio is in my basement. We live in a log home, and we were never going to develop the basement, but we decided to when I ended up ordering my long arm machine. So there is my TV where I watch Netflix when I'm doing my custom work. So have to have something to kind of watch and listen to. And I've caught up on, I've finished Downton Abbey as well as a whole bunch of other ones. But so this is my pressing station. I'll tell you a little bit about it. Underneath, if you can see this, is actually just a regular ironing board frame. It is quite a heavy-duty one. It's really quite nice and stable. And what I've done on the top, which many people do, this I did again for quilting. I started off as a quilter, so I have about a 3/8 inch piece of plywood, and I've put, I think, probably 2 or 3 layers of batting, quilt batting on top, and then my cover is kind of a cotton canvas. I've used like 100% cotton. So my tailor's ham, I could not work without it. I guess it should have been on my favorite things. And someone told me what this was. Don't worry, you don't have to let me know what it is. Whatever this thing is, it's for sleeves and seams and all kinds of other stuff. I use it a lot. So I have my assortment of pressing cloths. This is actually a Teflon mat. It's used for barbecuing. I don't use this one for barbecuing. I have one upstairs that I do. They had them on sale for $15 at Canadian Tire, so I picked one up because it's at least as good, if not better, than the ones that I have paid $30, $35 for at quilt stores. So anyway, it's a nice big one. My ironing board table, I've got a really good surface. It's quite covered up right now, but normally it's not. Had some questions lately again about my iron. Now this is an industrial iron. It's a gravity fed. I've got a little cover on here that I made. The handle does get a little bit hot on these ones, but I've just kind of rigged that up. Now, a gravity fed one. This is the water bottle. I have used an IV pole to hold my water bottle so I can actually, I don't have a hook in the ceiling. Down here I could, but I bought one for my mom because she now has 17-foot ceilings in her condo and can't just hang a bottle from it. So I bought her an IV pole. I liked the idea so much that I ended up getting one for myself as well. So the bottle hangs up there. There's a hose, a tube that comes down, and it literally is fed by gravity. The water comes all the way down this tube and into the iron. When you press the button, this isn't hot, so there's no steam in there. But when you press that button, steam is pressurized, is forced out. And for as long as you have water in your bottle and you hold that button down, you'll have steam coming out. So they do get considerably hotter than a domestic iron, but they also last a lot longer than any domestic iron I've ever imagined. You do need to use distilled water in them so that they don't get mineraled up, because that will wreck an iron in no time. My sister has had hers for, I believe, about 30 years, and hers is still working great. This is a Silver Star, and mine just happens to be an ES-94A. So if anybody's interested in that. My mom's had hers for 20 or so years, and hers is going strong as well. So, and these ones, if something does go wrong, if there's a part or something like that, you can actually get parts for them. You can get them fixed. They often are available through your sewing machine dealer. So, very nice. Over here, again, I've just got my thread and stuff like that. I've got a little station set up over here. I've got my domestic machine with my quilting table on it. Down here, IKEA is my friend. I've said it many times before. This one happens to have all of the little narrow drawers. So there's a whole bunch of little narrow drawers because we don't need great big huge ones. Mostly we've just got stuff in them, all my needles, that kind of thing. Again, just another look at my wall with all of my beautiful Emmeline bag hardware. So I've got a pretty good assortment, I have to say. I don't normally run out of stuff. I like to keep a nice little inventory. My zipper tape, all of my beautiful zipper tape. This is all from Pecana in Calgary. I did actually, these ones down here are prepared zippers, and I got them in 12-inch lengths, because that's about the longest that I would ever use. Those are all number 3s. This is all number 5 coil. And over here I have my selection of number 5 plastic tooth zippers. So my industrial machine. I should just do a video just on this. I just love this machine. I've had a synchronizer motor put on it, so now it really it runs like a computerized machine. It's just absolutely amazing. I love it so much. I can't even say enough nice things about it. Another thing I can't say enough nice things about, and you guys have seen this in my videos, is my heat press. This is not a steam press. And mine just happens to be the artistic press. It's the exact same as the Elna, or the Elna press. I don't think either one of them have steam. If you do buy a steam one, don't use the steam. You really don't need it, especially if you're just fusing, interfacing, and that kind of thing. Mine came with there's the little spritzer bottle, and if you need steam, just give it a little spritz of water and use that. When you're using water in these presses, if you have a steam press, probably the mineralization of the water is probably what's going to end up making it kind of spew gross brown water, and it's going to stain your stuff. So up over here we have cat beds, but this is my long arm machine, my quilting machine. It's also kind of been a rack now for some of my vinyl and things like that, but I've given myself a year. If I haven't used it, if I don't go back to it, I think then I'm going to sell it. So the bag making has really, I feel like I've found my lane with bag making, and I'm just really enjoying what I do. So again, over there is my quilting thread and that kind of thing, my bobbins and stuff. Over here, this is my shelving. I'll just back up and kind of give you a view of what I've got here. Again, IKEA shelving. Up top, just various quilting things, some unfinished projects. I know it's really uncommon for a quilter to have unfinished projects, but yeah. So anyway, I'm kind of sifting through some stuff here, so that's what I've got left, and I'm good with that. Here, again, this is kind of my quilting area. Bobbins, some rulers, some just kind of miscellaneous stuff there. And again, some projects down here. Yeah, just some more organization. That little bronze container there, that has all of my cam snaps, my plastic cam snaps in there. Okay, don't hate me because I'm organized. Up here, I'm starting to kind of get a little bit of a collection of different fabrics. These ones are all kind of cottony canvas type fabrics. Some really pretty ones found on sale. So of course I look at them and think, oh, the handbags I can make with those. I've done quite a bit with this fabric, and I'm doing a couple of custom pieces out of some of that fabric. This one, ooh, this one is so nice. I'm going to actually have to just show you this one because it is so pretty. This one I got at my local fabric land, and I don't know what I'm going to make with it yet, but oh, look at that. The red lips. I just think this is just gorgeous. There's so many possibilities with this fabric. in fussy cutting and things like that. I think it's just amazing. So looking forward to working with that one. Up over here, some different vinyls. And yeah, just some miscellaneous stuff. Here's my organization of all my patterns. I actually print off my patterns. This is the collection of patterns that I have. So just so you know, it's not like I have this massive, I don't collect patterns. I try and make them. So my bookkeeping system, that's about it for right now. Just some miscellaneous this and that. And yeah, again, some garment stuff. There's some custom work that I'm doing right now, and some bins down at the bottom that have different supplies and things like that. This is my cutting table, and typically this is how it looks before I start working. It gets pretty messy and full as I have everything right at my fingertips, but underneath, shelves, of course. And this is where I keep my stabilizer, my interfacing. Down at the bottom there is some fusible fleece. It's kind of my miscellaneous office type stuff over here. The things that I use all of the time. And I usually stand over here. Down below here I've got my pads for standing on and that, anti-fatigue mats, and this is kind of where I keep more of all my tools and stuff. I'm usually standing over here, so when I need something, it's just right at hand. And yeah, it's all nice and organized. So this is my studio. I hope that you've enjoyed my little tour. And yeah, if you come around and you want to do some work with me, this is where we'll hang out. So this is what you could look forward to. So anyway, thank you for joining me, and well, thanks again.